Alright, so I'm going to walk through my version of the back stitch, or it's a variation of a back stitch. One side will be it'll look like a regular sewing machine or like a running stitch, and then the opposite side will look like a stem stitch. So what I like to do is this on this piece of scrap leather, there's the front side, and then there's the flesh side, the furry side, the suede side on the back side. This will be the back, this will be the front. So if this is the side that may be visible for my project and I have to sew it, then I'm going to come up from behind and I'm going to work diagonally. And I could put a knot in this, but I'm not going to. It's not always necessary, because what you can do is you're just going to run your thread through, and I'm just going to leave a tail, a little bit of a tail there, not too much. And then I'm going to, about 1/8 of an inch up, maybe, yeah, about 1/8 of an inch up, I'm going to pierce the outer side. And if I pull too hard at this stage, this will pull through, so I'm just going to go back up from the back side and come up through to the front side. I can do that a number of times, and what that'll do is it'll lock it off for me, so I don't need to put a knot. But you could always put a knot, there's nothing wrong with that. I would just still reinforce that with doing this a couple of times to start. This will be your anchor, or this will lock your stitch from the beginning. Okay, so we've did that a number of times, and then so now I'm going to go down one more time, and then I'm going to go up. I'm on my opposite side. I'm going to go through from my back side up on my surface side. Now I'm going to go back down towards my previous stitch, my locking stitch, and that'll be the first stitch after the locking stitch. And then on the opposite side, sometimes you can go through it, like with this wax nylon. A lot of times you can, what I like to do is go underneath it and start to swing or swivel the thread underneath the stitching, the previous stitching. Okay, and now as we continue on, this will start to make sense. So I'm still on my back side. I'm still on my back side here. So I want to go up about 1/8 of an inch. And then I want to go back down through my previous stitch. That's going to be the rhythm. Okay. On the opposite side, I will thread this through. And then come back up. And then go down through my previous stitch. Laying this out to kind of flatten the stitches out and to pull them tight. Cinch that off. So what we have essentially on the top side or the front side is some pretty okay looking stitches. They're not perfect. Obviously, there's something going on here. But the key is to keep these even, and as you do this more, you'll get a rhythm and you'll start to eyeball what is about right, what is consistent. But the cool thing about this version of the backstitch is that this looks like you were using a sewing machine. You know, a sewing machine that had some stability issues, but a sewing machine nonetheless. Now, the other side is a pretty straight, looks like a chain or a cable stitch. And it looks like a stem stitch even though it's not. The beauty of this type of stitching is you could use the stitch for either side. So if you wanted this type of stitching on the outside of a garment, you could just do this stitching on the outside, whereas this would be on the inside. Or if you wanted this on the outside, then this is what you'd have on the inside. And so it's basically reversible. So that's why I like using the back stitch, because it's a pretty stitch either way you wear it. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish this off, and how I finish this off is very similar to how I started. I'm going to go back through my last hole, and I'm going to go down one, make sure everything's secure. And I could do that a number of times if I wanted to, but for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to go underneath the stitches similar to what we have been doing. And sometimes I pick up, depending on what material I'm working on, I pick up a little bit of the fabric or the material, and then I'm going to just go through this twice, of the loop twice. So it'd be a double overhead. And then I just pull that tight. And I could do that one more time, which sometimes I do depending on whether this is going to be something that I'm going to use rustically. So I want to make sure my knot is secure, and I just do it one more. And that will secure this off. And then here's your the Urban-Abo back stitch, like so.